It's an island out in the ocean. Can you see it? I see it. My son was in the bus. He saw what Clark did.
You have to keep this side of yourself a secret.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe. You have so many questions. You don't know. You just have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be, Clark. Whoever that man is, it's going to change the world.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Sorry, I was caught up watching one of my favorite trailers. Sorry about that. Since it's Saturday and want to continue my tradition of doing Saturday reviews, I have 2 movies here. So let's review them. Okay? Thank you for tuning in. Okay, I have 2 movies here. The first one is called The Sessions. Okay, and the second movie is called For a Good Time Call. Okay, let's talk about The Sessions first. Okay, this movie stars John Hawkes, Helen Hunt, and William Macy. And basically, this is based on a true story, actually, about a true person. This is based on a guy, poet, author named Mark O'Brien, who wrote an article. Basically, it's a guy that's been, he was born, I think since he was 8, they said he had got polio, and so he could, and basically he had to live with an iron lung since the time he was 8. He got polio, and he couldn't move. He was paralyzed basically from the age of 8, but he overcame obstacles and stuff, and to be, with help of aides, he managed to live on his own and become a poet, attend college. Even in the beginning of this movie, they show him, they devised this device where he could actually go to school. It's like a motorized bed that it had mirrors in it, and he could actually go to college classes and stuff. And anyway, he basically he overcome those odds, and he became a poet and stuff, and an author, and of course, one day he grew up with real religious parents and stuff, and believed in God and everything, and then he decided one day that he since he never experienced actually being with a woman, he wanted to experience that, what it was like to have sex. So, being a man of faith, he turned to his priest, to the local priest, played by William Macy, and basically advised him that, he's thinking about actually tuning into it because he read an article about a sex therapist, and he wanted to experience that. Actually maybe because, he could move his body somewhat. He was paralyzed, but his body could move somewhat, and actually he could get he could get erections and stuff. So he wanted to experience what it was like to have sex. Okay, now this movie is excellent. John Hawkes, who plays Mark O'Brien, is absolutely incredible in the part. Basically, like I said, he could only move his head. So basically, he had to act with just moving one part of his body, just his head. And of course, he was, of course, he's not paralyzed in real life, but he had to play the part, basically laying in a bed and with his head tilted slightly, and his body, contorted, and he had to basically play that part. But the character of Mark O'Brien had a good sense of humor, a lot of dark comedy and stuff. And like I said, him and William Macy, who played his local priest, they would have these conversations where he would tell him about his life and stuff and what he's experiencing, with the sex therapist. And Helen Hunt plays the sex therapist who comes into his life. Okay, it basically teaches him about his body and stuff, and they have these. That's why it's called the sessions, because they're supposed to have like 6 sessions where she teaches him about his body and stuff, and And frankly, like I said, she's a sex therapist, so she's actually, showing him how to have sex, you know, how to have sex, how to touch her breast and everything else. And it's a lot of, like I said, a lot of dark comedy with it, but it's a really touching story, like I said. And John Hawkes, who played, the way I found out about this movie is, of course, it got nominated, Helen Hunt, for Best Supporting Actor. But I thought John Hawkes in this movie, right here, who you might remember from Deadwood, he was actually exceptional as Mark O'Brien. I mean, with his humor and his dark humor and his comedy and stuff, it's basically about his life and the women that come into it and how he touched people and stuff. And it's a really touching movie and stuff. Really one of the best movies I've seen this year. Definitely highly recommend The Sessions. Okay, totally worth getting. And I'm glad I got this movie, The Sessions. I definitely highly recommend it. And John Hawkes should have been nominated, I think, for Best Actor for last year. Definitely, because I thought he played this part incredibly well. Okay. Now, this next movie is a comedy that I watched a little while ago. This is called For a Good Time Call, right here, and stars Lauren Miller and Ari, what's her name, Grainer? Yeah, Grainer, yeah, there. Ari Grainer is the blonde, and Lauren Miller right there is the brunette. And this movie also stars Justin Long. This is basically the story about Katie, played Ari Grainer, and Lauren, played by Lauren Miller. Okay, basically it's a comedy, and basically Lauren Miller's character right here, they show her in the beginning of the movie, her having sex with a boyfriend with a bra on, and she's basically, they're having boring sex, and then later her boyfriend breaks up with her because he has to travel for business to Italy for like a year, and he tells her, listen, our sex life is boring, our life is boring, okay, I'm breaking up with you, okay, because we're boring together, okay? So he breaks up with her. Of course, she's devastated because she has to move out, from where they're living because he's going to Italy, and she can't afford to stay on her own in Manhattan. And then she loses her job. Okay, so basically she's homeless without a boyfriend, and then her friend, and what's her name's? And Katie, they have a mutual friend played by Justin Long, right there. Mutual gay friend played by Justin Long, who decides, no, this is a great idea to get them to, we'll get both of them to move in together. Now, 10 years earlier, when they were both in college, there was an incident between them that involving, let's say, a car, a cup, and urine. They kind of made them instantly hate each other on the same night that they met. Okay, so of course 10 years later when he tries to get them together to move into it, because Katie is about to get kicked out of her apartment because she can't really afford it anymore because she hasn't been paying the rent. Okay, so he figures that they could both move in together. Of course, like I said, they can't stand each other first, but they reluctantly agree and they move in together. And of course, like I said, they're night and day types in terms of types of personality. Katie is a free spirit. Lauren is uptight, of course. And then, Lauren finds out that Katie is running a sex, besides her numerous jobs, she's running a sex, she's a, what do you call that? I guess it would be called a sex line. She's, dirty talking basically to men for money, okay? A phone sex operator. Gee, I can't think of the name of it. Phone sex operator. She's doing it for money. And of course, she's horrified. Lauren's horrified at first, but then it's easy money when she finds out. So she helps Katie run her business and stuff, and then they become real good friends and stuff. And then they even eventually start doing it together, and they become really close, of course. And I won't tell you any more what happens after that. This is a comedy. Like I said, it's like 95 minutes. They said the actresses give good performances. They give their all in this, but I felt the script was a little lacking. Justin Long plays a gay friend. He was good in this also, but I just felt that this movie was a little lacking in terms of this overall story. I mean, they just made, they had that one incident, that they had 10 years ago, and of course they instantly hate each other, and then they don't see each other for 10 years, and then I guess this is a contrived way, I guess, to get them together, I didn't find that reason compelling enough. But yeah, it was okay. Yeah, like I said, the actresses they give their all, especially Ari Granger. She's she goes all out in this movie, and they show a bunch of them dirty talking to each other, and they become good friends. Like I said, the actresses good performances, but I just felt the script was a little lacking. This was not the best comedy I've seen. It's a decent comedy, but not the best. Let's say if you want to own this, I say rent it first and give it a watch, and see if you like it, rather than buy it first. Or if you're gonna buy it, maybe not pay full price, because I don't think it's totally the best comedy ever. But like I said, the actors just give good performances. So, and like I said, Justin Law was funny. Okay, so I give it a out of 10. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 that way. Like I said, the actors give good performances, but I felt the script was a little lacking in this. But okay, but the Sessions, that movie, completely worth getting. Great performances, especially by John Hawkes, and like I said, and Helen Hunt, who plays a therapist, and William Macy, who plays the local priest. Okay, it's just a real good comedy about this guy, poet Mark O'Brien, who's paralyzed, who has to be in an iron lung, and basically his life, and when he starts to want to experience what it's like to have sex with a woman. Okay, and it's a real, like I said, it's a nice blend of comedy, good drama in this, and it's just a real emotional movie, totally worth getting. Like I said, great performances by John Hawkes right there, who plays Mark O'Brien, and Helen Hunt, who plays the sex therapist, and also William Macy gives great support. Okay, he's a local priest, totally worth getting. So those are my two movies, my two reviews. Okay, so I totally recommend it. Let me know if you've seen those two and what do you think of them. Feel free to leave comments down below. And this is Trepacer saying so long and take care, and let me go back to watching my great movie.